With a spike in youth crime in the spotlight, the National Party leader says we need to tackle our truancy crisis. But one youth worker says there are bigger fish to fry when it comes to youth crime.
Saying the young people involved often suffer from serious trauma, and that's what we need to better support. Leighton Hakill has more.
The aftermath of yet another overnight ram raid. This time the target was an icebreaker outlet store near Auckland Airport. Work is already underway to secure the shop after a group of youths drove a stolen car through the front doors and took clothing before they fled in another car. Police say the getaway car was found here, crashed into the grounds of a school on Beta Drive. One offender allegedly broke a leg. Police are still looking for 4 others. It's just the latest ram raid in a string of youth crimes taking place across the country. National Party leader Luxon says the impacts of that have been heartbreaking on the businesses affected.
We've got to keep the victims in mind first and foremost. We have a government that's soft on crime, and we've got to be able to create more personal responsibility and accountability for our actions and teach that to our kids.
That comes amid growing calls for tougher consequences for both children and their parents. But youth worker Aaron Hendry says that's not the answer.
In situations like this, we're all looking for someone to blame. There's been some really unhelpful conversation about our young people and our children this week. You know, comparisons to our kids as if they're viruses or a plague, but actually these are children. They're children who are hurting, who are suffering.
Oranga Tamariki says youth crime as a whole has fallen 60% in the past 10 years, but Aaron Hendry says many of those who are committing crimes are facing incredibly complex issues.
We see a lot of young people who have fetal alcohol syndrome and other disabilities of similar measure, and there is just not the support.
He wants to see more investment in community services, those at the coalface, working with these young people. Meanwhile, Luxon says there's a link between youth crime and what he calls our growing truancy crisis. Almost 40% of students aren't attending school regularly.
That's been the most sobering set of statistics I've ever encountered.
The government is set to announce a package to tackle those truancy statistics. But in order to get kids into the classroom, fixing poverty needs to be the priority.
You know, if you've got a kid who's hungry, who's suffering, who's in pain, you know, going and learning 2 + 2 isn't what they're going to be thinking about.
And he says everyone's got a part to play, otherwise nothing will change.
OK, Leighton, police in Hamilton are also dealing with another incident they've described as unacceptable. What more can you tell us about that?
Well, footage has emerged on TikTok showing a man allegedly firing a gun in broad daylight outside of some shops on Beta Street in Hamilton late yesterday afternoon. In the footage, a child can be seen walking past 2 groups of men who appear to be arguing before a loud bang was heard. Now, police have put out a statement a short time ago saying that this sort of behaviour is not acceptable, and it's very fortunate that no one was injured in the incident. They are investigating and are calling on anyone with information or further footage to please come forward.
Leighton Hakill in Wellington, thanks for the update.